equations using the box method. So I'm going to go over a couple of things. The biggest thing on solving equations is that we want to isolate the variable. We want to get it by itself. We want to know what x is equal to. So when we're looking at that, so here's our first example, and I just want to point out a couple of things to you, just a couple of reminders. So the number that is attached to the letter, we like to call it the letter, that is our coefficient. That's the co-pilot, that's the guy that hangs out with the letter. My letter is the variable. And then I have this other number that's over there by himself. He is the constant. He constantly likes to hang out by himself. He's the constant. So when we are doing the box method, we have our line down the middle. Boom, straight line. And then we go ahead and we make our two boxes. Boom, that's what's up. And then inside of that, we have here and here. So whenever we go, oh, and can I just copy? I can't copy that whole thing. My other box is not going to be as pretty, but that's okay. Oh, that's neat. Guys, y'all are just going to have to bear with me today on this funness. Oh, okay, well that works. We can do that. Oopsie. Woo. Thank goodness that fixes my hot mess. Okay, whenever we do the box method, remember on one side we have our variables, and on the other side we have our constants. Now, the biggest thing is that whenever we are moving, say, this variable to this side, we are crossing over the equal sign. So when I cross over to the equal sign, I have to take the opposite of it because it's going to the opposite side. So I have a negative 5x. When I have this 2x right here, I'm not crossing over, I'm staying on the same side as my equal sign, so I just bring down this 2x. Over here with my negative 9, I'm staying on the same side of the equal sign, so I'm just bringing down negative 9. However, with this 3, I'm crossing over the equal sign, so I'm going to have a negative 3 because I take 3 and it becomes negative. Now my next thing is that I am going to add these together on each side. So the 2x plus a negative 5x is going to give me a negative 3x. Negative 3 plus negative 9 gives me a negative 12. So now I have a simple 6th grade equation to solve. I have to get my x by itself. I have to isolate my x. So if I'm doing negative 3 times x, that's what that means whenever I have a number next to a letter right here, that means that multiplication is happening in between those two. And so I'm going to have to do the inverse or the opposite. So if I'm doing negative 3 times x, the inverse of that would be to divide by negative 3. Remember what we do on one side of the equation, we always have to do on the other. So I divide by negative 3 over here, and I get that x is equal to 4. So that is my solution using the box method. Now I want to check my answer. So I'm going to take and put my answer in where x is at. You see how I put parentheses where x is at? I substitute the value of x in. And when I solve, 2 times 4 is 8, 9, 10, 11. 5 times 4 is 20, minus 9 is 11. So my checking is 11 is equal to 11. But my solution is still x is equal to 4. So I know that x equaling 4 is the correct answer. The next one that we're going to look at, and so I'm going to have my line coming down to help split it up for me so I can visually see that it's two separate things. I'm going to go back up here and copy my box because that's fun. Maybe. Oopsie. Oh, it saved it. Put it up here. JK. I'm like sitting there. I'm like, where's my box at? Well, it's right there. We're going to duplicate. Put it right there. Oh, well, y'all can just handle it. Right? This little Let's scribble that in. Okay, I know y'all have missed me. I get it. Y'all have missed my crazy hot mess and all the wildness that I do and the mistakes that I make. I know. So I have my boxes set up now. So I'm going to have my variables over here and my constants over here. So I'm going to bring my x down to right here. I'm not having to cross over the equal sign to bring it down, so I just bring down my x. I have this negative 2x over here. I'm going to bring it to the other side. So because I have a negative 2x and I'm coming to the other side, it makes it a positive 2x. My 13, I'm just going to bring down because it stays on that right-hand side. This 7, though, I'm going to bring it over here. So because I'm coming across the equal sign, I'm going to take the opposite of the 7. So it's a negative 7. So now I'm going to add my, let's pick a better color that we can see this time. Oopsie. Maybe lime green. I'm going to add these together. So I'm going to have x plus 2x gives me 3x. Negative 7 plus 13. If you don't have a calculator, just remember, my signs are different. It's like me owing $7 to the bank and me going and depositing $13 into the account. So I basically am subtracting then. 13 minus 7, which gives me 6. I have more positives than I do negatives. Now I have, again, an easy 6th grade one-step equation. This is 3 times x, so the inverse to get x by itself would be to divide by 3 because those cancel out, leaving me with x by itself. What I do on the left-hand side, I have to do on the right-hand side, so I'm going to divide by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. To check my answer, I'm basically substituting 2 in anywhere I had an x. Notice that right there, I substituted that 2 in. So now I'm just going to have 7 plus 2 is 9. 13 minus 2 times 2 is 4, so 13 minus 4 is 9. So since I got 9 is equal to 9, I know my answer is correct. And again, the solution to my problem is x equals 2. So the next one, I'm going to copy my box. The next one's a little bit different. You've done these before, but it's been a little while. So it's called distribution. You've distributed before. You did it in 6th grade and 7th grade. And I'm just going to show you how to do it again. It's like if I hand out candy to one of you, I need to hand out candy to all of you, right? Like I can't just hand out candy to one person. So I have this 3, and it being outside of this parentheses is like multiplication. So I'm doing 3 times 2 and 3 times that x. And I have to keep this sign here, right? So I'm going to have 3 times 2 is 6. Then I have minus 3 times x is 3x. That is equal to 10 minus 2x. I don't want to hand out candy to anybody else's classroom, right? I'm only handing out candy to my kids. I'm not handing out candy to anyone else, just my students. So now I can go and solve with my boxes. But you have to distribute first before you can do the box method. You can't go and try and do the box method before you distribute. You have to distribute beforehand. Well, that'll be good enough. So I'm going to have, again, this negative 3x is on this side of my equal sign. So I'm just going to drop down my negative 3x. This negative 2x is coming to the opposite side. So I'm going to take the opposite of negative 2x, which would be a positive 2x. I'm going to drop down my 10, and then this 6 is going to come to the other side. So I have to take the opposite of positive 6, which would be negative 6. So a negative 3x plus 2x would be a negative 1x. Negative 6 plus 10 would be 4. I have to divide by negative 1, divide by negative 1. So x is equal to a negative 4. So for me to check this now, I'm going to have 3 times 2 minus a negative 4 is equal to 10 minus 2 times negative 4. Now, if you've got a calculator, you can do this, type it into your calculator, right? Super easy. But if you don't have a calculator, we have to use order of operations. So I have to do what's inside the parentheses. I have to do what's inside the parentheses first. And the thing is I have 2 minus a negative. So when I have minus a negative, I add the opposite. So I'm going to have 3 times 2 plus 4 is 6, which gives me 18. And then I have 10 minus 2 times a negative 4 is a negative 8. And I add the opposite. So I'm going to have 10 plus 8, which is 18. So I get, oopsie, I don't want to do that. I get that 18 equals 18. I know my solution is correct. So I know that x equals a negative 4. So you have the opportunity to rewatch this video. Also, on Friday, we are going to be live on Zoom several times throughout the day on Friday. So if you have any questions, you are more than welcome to come hop in one of our Zoom lives and ask any questions that you have. If you don't like the box method, you can go and watch Miss Kirschner's video. She does the standard normal solving equations on both sides, with variables on both sides. So it is up to you as to what you want to do.